to this one, which is the 374, a two-stage RAT remote access Trojan with Velociraptor. So first you have to install Sysmon, but we did that in the previous project, so we don't have to do that. And then we need to install 7-zip, but I'm pretty sure that's already on here too. So now we're going to infect the Windows machine. So there's the malware. This thing pup5, extract it with the password malware. So let's see. There we go. In fact, I don't think you really need 7-zip. I made it a normal zip, so I could take that out of the instructions. This is an ordinary zip. Apparently at one time I thought I would use 7-zip, but I didn't have to. Extract all, extract, malware. All right, so there's the files. And now right-click pup5 batch and run as administrator. That's all you have to do to infect your machine. So run this as administrator and approve all the warnings. Like this one saying it's a funny looking file, run anyway. And elevate to administrator. And there it is, executing commands. I wrote some stuff in PowerShell. Yep, Windows cannot find shell bind. That's interesting. Oh, because it does need 7-zip. Ah, okay. It is my fault. We do need 7-zip, and I apparently don't have 7-zip. All right, so let me do that. I forgot. I put it in there. 7-zip.org. Wrote these things several years ago, and I've forgotten the details. That's right. I put in an encrypted payload that it asked to automatically extract with 7-zip. So let's put on 7-zip, which apparently I did not already have on this virtual machine. All right, now 7-zip is installed. Now you can presumably run the malware. Let's try it again. pup5, run as administrator. Okay. Tell it to run it even though it looks funny. Give it administrator privileges. And now here it goes executing things. Yep, there it is, using 7-zip to extract the encrypted malware. Something exists, I'm going to overwrite it. Say yes, because I ran it twice, so I'm just going to overwrite. Okay, so now the machine should be infected with my fake malware. All right. So now we're going to audit network connections. Okay. So let's go back to our browser out here. So we're investigating from a remote location is the idea. And so we get netstat, just the network connections on the machine. That's easy. All right, Windows network netstat. Don't need any parameters. See if it is making funny network connections, which we will find it is. There's a thing called shell bind that is listening. So this has got something there. Shell bind is listening on this port, which is a standard Metasploit port. So this game contains Metasploit listener, so it's a forward shell. You almost never use these. It's a shell that is listening like a server for attackers to connect and control your machine. And the reason you almost never do it that way is because the default Windows firewall will block unexpected incoming traffic. So you normally use a reverse shell where the infected machine sends outgoing traffic to connect to the server. But here I set up the simplest kind of malware that's not terribly effective these days, but there it is. So now something is running, making a listening shell. So auto runs is a good tool to find it. Let's see if this runs. I think it'll run, although I'm a little concerned about the fact that I'm using an ARM machine. But I think it did work, so it's going to try and install auto runs and run it. And I guess it's running the AMD version of auto runs on an ARM machine, which will often work, although it doesn't work for Sysmon. But I think it's too close to the operating system. It really has to be compiled for the right hardware version. But auto runs is really just looking for things like registry keys. It's not going into the kernel or doing anything very deep in the operating system. So I think it's okay for it to run through the emulator that runs AMD code on ARM machines. So let's see. Yep, looks like it's running. Okay. Waiting for rows. Okay, it's running. Here comes some data. Okay, it looks like it worked. And here's the results. Here's things that automatically launch. There's more than 1,000 results. So you have to put it in somewhere where you can search through it in Notepad or a spreadsheet or something, and then find the shellbind.exe. So that's one way to do it. By the way, I wonder if I could do auto runs and filter it. I'll just try it again. This might be a better way to do it. Auto runs. Since I know I'm looking for something named shellbind.exe, I wonder if there are parameters that would let me restrict it. Doesn't look like it. Looks like you don't get to put in the name or anything. Okay, that's annoying. But that's life. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with this one. It does look like the only thing you can do is download all 1,000 lines and then filter through it with another tool. All right, now we're going to find the creation time. We have to find the path here, 374.2. All right, well, let me finish that then. Let's find the path. I'm going to download CSV. That's what I like to do. Okay, there we are. So it's this thing. I'm going to call it ir374.csv so I can find it. Okay. Now I'm going to launch it. It'll launch in a spreadsheet, I think. Yep, in the default Mac spreadsheet. There it is. And now I can search for shellbind with Control F. And there it is. And that's the registry key. And there's the path. C shellbind, shellbind.exe. So I'll just get all of that and copy it. They said I was going to need it for the next step, so I imagine that is true. All right. So run PowerShell, and then configure parameters, do a directory of the folder containing that. Okay. So we're going to run a PowerShell command on the Windows host, Windows System PowerShell. Okay, and here we can specify the command, and the command is going to be a directory of that location. Just the folder, not the name of the file. There, we're going to do a directory of it, and that should be fine. And that's where PowerShell lives, and I assume PowerShell is in the default location. Let's try launching it. Hopefully Microsoft doesn't randomize where they put PowerShell. And looks like it is doing the directory. Something's completed. Oh, I must be looking at, here's the logs, here's the results, there's the results. Okay, I guess there's just one thing in there. Oh, there it is, shellbind.7z. And here's shellbind.exe. I guess there's two items there. Okay. Contains two files with different timestamps. Oh, there's timestamps? Oh, yeah, there's timestamps. Okay, good. All right, fair enough. So that's the start. Now we can look at the prefetch folder. The last 128 programs that have been launched on your machine are in the prefetch folder. And this malware, which just keeps launching every on some periodic basis, so it's in there. So Windows Timeline prefetch, no, Windows Forensic prefetch. Okay, launch. This will give us the list of recently. Oh, I could have limited it to shellbind, and I guess I better. Otherwise, it's going to give me 128 lines of data. So let me try that again. Prefetch, Windows Forensics prefetch parameters, and in configure parameters, binary regex. Oh, here we are. Okay, shellbind. That's probably enough. There's probably only going to be one item that contains that string. Yep, and there it is, shellbind.exe in the prefetch folder, showing when it was last run and other information about it. So that's good. All right, and then we can do the sysmon logs the way we've done them before with evtx, sysmon, and restricting the time. And I think we're going to find... all right. Thought we would limit it to events type 1, but apparently not in this case. evtx, sysmon, and the time. Okay, so we found an event here. 5.8. Okay, let me make a note of this somewhere. Okay, I'm going to need that time, and notice it's in Zulu. Very common in instant response. You don't want to deal with time zones, so you have Zulu time. So we're going to have to add subtract 5 minutes to that. We want to find the Windows event logs that are associated with this launch. So it's going to be EVTX with Zulu, which is Greenwich Mean Time. It's Greenwich instead of our local time here, which is what you normally do in instant response because it's the only way to understand time as you cross time zones. So here's the EVT. Because it's got a Z at the end. And I can tell because it's 5.8, and over here it's only 5.7, but in Greenwich it's already 5.8. Yeah, and that's an important consideration. So I've got this event logs. Now I configure parameters. Okay, so path regex sysmon, sysmon. Okay, right. That's what gives sysmon. Now I'm going to restrict the time to the time of the event plus or minus 5 minutes. So it's going to be start on the 8th UTC. I guess UTC is the default. Okay, start on the 8th, and then at 2:02. Okay. Okay, and end on the 8th at 2:12. Okay. And is it AM? I guess it is AM. Good. Okay. UTC. Okay. Maybe that'll work. Let's try it. The problem with Windows logs is they're huge. You'll get thousands and thousands of events to hunt through, so limiting the time and the type of event is some way to try to make it smaller so you don't have to hunt through so much. All right, so go through the results and find when you ran the pup5.bat file. What you're finding is the original infection event here. And so, let's see how many items there are here. 1 to 10 of 225, so I'll show 50 at a time and see if I can find pup5 here. If I'm lucky, it'll be in the first page, but there's only a few pages to hunt through. Pup5. Oh, there. So there it is, running pup5 from the downloads file. Here's the unzipping event. This is the things I did to infect the machine. And this is getting to the source. This is where I unzipped it, and there's more. After I unzipped it in the downloads folder, then there will be more events coming up here. This is where I ran it, and the zone identifier is where it noticed that it appeared to be downloaded from the internet, and it popped up a box warning me that this file looks kind of funny. And here it is, host URL, zone transfer. This is more about the security issues, or tried to stop me from running it. And here I am. Not exactly sure what's happening here. But anyway, you see all the various things I did with pup5 appear in the event logs, so you can get down to the bottom of how this infection happened. All right. And now I'm going to remediate the machine, which is this one. It's like the 4th piece of fake malware I wrote, so I was getting a little more professional. So now I put an uninstaller here to save me time. So you just run the uninstaller, and that will remove it. Oops, I hit the wrong button. I think I hit the wrong button. Run as administrator. There we go. And run anyway. There. And that should clean off the infection. Okay. So, that's all I wanted to show you there. Let me check for comments. And there are no new comments. All right, so I'm going to stop this recording.